Hello, this is a video on how to play Go Fish. Now, Go Fish is a very popular game, and it's probably one of the first card games that everyone has learned because it's simple to pick up, and so many kids play it. And so you can play Go Fish with up to from 2 to 4 players. And so if you have 2 players, each player gets 7 cards. Each player starts out with 7 cards. If you have 3 players, each player starts out with 6 cards. If you have 5 players, each player starts out with, if you have 4 players, each player starts off with 5 cards. And then once you're done handing out the cards, the rest of the deck is placed in the middle of the table, or I guess the playing area. And so, what's the objective of Go Fish? The objective of Go Fish is to collect as many 4 of a kinds as possible. A 4 of a kind is 4 of the same card. So, the initial player is selected at random. Um, some versions, and I think this is more, I guess, like rule based, because typically we want there to be a solid set of rules for each game. I suggest picking the player to the left of the dealer. The dealer is the person who hands out the cards. So the person who hands out the cards, the player to the left of them goes first. And so um, the initial player is selected at random, or in my case, I suggest picking the player to the left of the dealer. And then so how do you play? Um, you ask any other player for a card. So let's say I have, and so let's start out with a deal. So now it's Bill's turn. Um, and so Bill asks me for threes, right? Right there, that's my face. He says, do you have any threes? And so let's just highlight what's going on here before we proceed. So the player whose turn it is asks any other players if they have cards of the same rank or number. You can only ask for a card of a number if you have at least one of that card. So look at my case. I have a 5, 7, 8, 10, and a K. I can only ask for a 5, 7, 8, 10, or a K. I may not ask for a 1, or a 2, or a 3, or a 4, a 6, or a 9. I can't ask any players for those cards because I don't have at least one of those cards. You must have at least one of the card that you are going to ask. So since Bill is asking me for a 3, that means Bill has at least one 3 because you have to have one of the card that you are asking for. And so you just ask any other player. You pick a player. You ask them if they have a certain number of that card. Like if they have if they have that certain card, right? Do you have any threes? And if you have that card, you have to give all of them. So if I had 2 3s, I'd have to give Bill both of my 3s. If I had 3 3s, I'd have to give Bill all 3 of my 3s. Essentially, if somebody asks you for a card, so essentially here's the rundown. You have to have at least one of the card that you are asking for, and the person you're asking must give you all of that card if they have it. If they don't have it, then they say go fish. If they have it, they give it to you. So they give the cards to you, and then your turn continues, and you can ask that same player again for another value or number of like another card, or ask any other player for another card. Um, if they don't have it, they say go fish, and then it goes to the next player. And so what's going to happen here is that if I say go fish, Bill draws one card from the pile, and then now if I say go fish, Bill draws one card from the pile, and the card he draws from the pile, if it's a 3, it's the same thing. It's treated as the fact that somebody else gave him that 3, even if he draws it from the middle of the pile. And so let's say I gave him a 3, he would get to continue his turn. Similarly, if he draws a 3 from the middle pile, he gets to continue his turn. So what's the rundown of Go Fish? Now let's just give an overall general summary. You want to amass as many 4 of a kinds as you can. You ask another player if they have a certain card. To ask them for that certain card, you must hold a card at least one of the same value or face. If they have it, they must give all their cards to you. If they don't, they say go fish. You draw one card, and the turn goes to the next player. If the card you draw is the same card that you asked for, like the same number, then you get to keep it and you get to go again. And so your turn continues. If not, then obviously it goes to the next player. And so that's pretty much just generally it. Um, and so um, the player with the most 4 of a kinds at the end of the game wins the game. And so obviously you want to have the most 4 of a kinds at the end of the game. If you have no cards, you draw 5 cards from the pile in the middle. If there's no cards in the pile in the middle, and you have no cards, then you just simply sit out and wait for the game to finish. If you have, it'd be 5 cards, simply because we have 5 cards here. You basically just draw, if you have no cards, you draw cards from the middle pile equal to the number of cards you started off with. So if you have 2 players, you draw 7 cards from the middle pile. If you have 3 players, you draw 6 cards from the middle pile. In this case, we have 4 players, and so if one of us had 0 cards, we would draw 4 cards from the middle pile. And then if you finish and there's no cards in the middle, then you just have to wait out the game. And so make sure the strategy is just honestly look at other players and see what they're asking for, so you know what they have. And then pay attention to what other people are asking each other for. And if you see a player say go fish to another player, that means that player doesn't have that card. So obviously you don't want to ask for the same card, because then you're going to be forced to go fish. And so let's just play the game. It's quite simple. Hopefully that was a great rundown of the rules, and we'll explain as we go, and you'll also be able to understand as we go. And so we don't have any 3s, so we tell Bill to go fish. Bill's going to pick up a card. If it's a 3, he shows us, and then he gets to go again. It wasn't, so now it's Lisa's turn. Now, she asks us for an ace. It's not, so we say go fish. So I'm going to ask Mike for let's ask him for a 5. Mike, do you have any 5s? Mike gives us a 5. Our turn continues. Now, when you ask a player for a card, they have to give you all of that card if they have it. And so Mike just gave us all of his 5s. So it doesn't make sense to ask Mike for more 5s. So we'll ask Bill for a 5. Bill says no. He tells me to go fish. I click any card in the pile. I'll take that one. It's a 9. So he asks Lisa for 7s. Lisa says, hey, Mike, go fish. Bill asks Lisa for 3s. So we know Lisa doesn't have 3s. Bill doesn't have kings because he gave all his kings to Lisa. Lisa asks me for kings, and so I have to give her my king. So Lisa asks Mike for kings. Mike tells Lisa to go fish. So I'll ask Lisa for 5s. I already asked Mike for 5s. Lisa told me to go fish. Now, next time we're gonna ask. Now we're gonna ask Bill for a 5 next time. We do have a 9, so we have to give it to Mike. So if somebody asks you for a card and you have to give it. So we asked Mike for 5s. We asked Lisa for 5s. So we're gonna ask Bill for 5s now. So Mike has a 4 of a kind right there. He puts it off to the side. That's what you do. And so let's just observe here. Bill asks Mike for 7s. Mike gives Bill a 7. And so if you see somebody ask another player for a card, and so I'll stop talking here because I know you guys also want to just watch what's happening. But if you see somebody ask somebody for a card, and the person that they're asking says, go fish. Or so let's say Bill asked Mike for 5s. That means if Bill, you can only ask for a card if you have that card. So if Bill asks Mike for 5s, I know Bill has 5s. And so when it comes to my turn, I'm going to ask him for those 5s. So if you see somebody else ask for a card that you also have, that means they have that card. And so it's typically a good idea to ask them for that card when it's your turn, so you can take it from them. We don't have any kings, so we tell Lisa to go fish. Let's ask Bill for fives. I don't think he has any either because he didn't ask anybody. And so nobody has any fives. Nobody has any fives. And so we're not doing too well right now. Tell Mike to go fish because we don't have any queens. So Bill takes all three of Lisa's cards because he was keeping track. He said, "Hey Lisa, I know you've been asking for kings and you've been getting them, so I'm gonna ask you for kings and take your kings." And so let's ask Bill for tens. And we're not doing too well right now. We are just fishing. Mike is doing solid. Mike is doing fantastic right now. We don't have any sevens. We do. So we give Lisa our two tens. She knows that Mike asked for a jack, so she's gonna take. That means Mike had a jack himself, so she's gonna ask him for it. Now that was a bad move by Lisa. She asked Bill. I asked Bill previously for tens, and he made me go fish. So she should have known that Bill would make her go fish. Let's ask Bill for six. So Bill gave us a six. That means he doesn't have any. Let's ask Lisa for six. And so she makes us go fish. So we know Mike has 3 twos because he just asked for a 2. And so he asked me for a 2. I have to give him the 2. He's going to get a 4 of a kind there. But if he didn't ask me for a 2 and he asked Lisa, she wouldn't have any because I would have had the last 2 and then would have asked Mike for his 2. Now we do have 5s. And so I'm getting destroyed here. I don't have any 4 of a kinds. Mike has 4 of a kinds that are laid through. No, I don't have. Oh, holy smokes! Mike is cleaning the game right here. This gives Mike an ace. Bill for aces. Bill gives Mike an ace. Nope, I don't have any. And he has a trick of sixes now. So that's another 4 of a kind. And so obviously you can just see how this plays. Quite a simple game. And so we'll play this out and then we'll play out another round and that should be great. I hope you guys understand. It's quite a simple game. So Bill got another 4 of a kind there. And we do. So everybody just knows somehow what about the cards I have. So this is getting kind of strange here. And so she's gonna have a 4 of a kind. I obviously wanted to ask her for her. And yeah. So we can't get any 4 of a kinds here. We cannot get any 4 of a kinds here at all. And so obviously Bill doesn't have any cards, so he just waits for play to run out. And Lisa's gonna ask Mike for those 8, and that his last card should be an 8. And that's it. So we got clean swept here. And so we could start a new game. But I think that sort of, I guess we'll play a quick game. but without any commentary. So we'll just play, so you can see what's going on here. I'm keeping track, so this is 2, 8, 10, 7. 2, 8, 10, 7 right there. So he has a 10, 7, and an 8. He has a 2. I know Lisa asked for a king, so I'm going to ask her for it. So he has a 4 of a kind there. Because he knew I had those cards because I was asking for them. She asked for 3, so I know she has a 3. So Bill gives us 2 10s here. And so give us a second. We'll be right back. 1 second. Quick pause. So we have a lot of cards here that we can try to get. I got a trick of 10s. Put that off to the side. I asked her for 6s because she just asked Mike for 6s, so I know she would have all the 6s. So that's how you keep track and you sort of win Go Fish. 2, 8, 10. So he asked for a 2, he asked for an 8, 10, and a 7. And so we're just going to ask Lisa for a 3, I think. See if she has one. She doesn't, so. He just keeps asking for 2s, so we know he wants a 2 real bad. So he has a 2, 8. So this is an 8, 10, 7, or a queen. We'll ask him for an 8 when it's our turn. So 2, 8, 10. So she has the 7s. So this is 2, 8, 10, 7. We'll ask him for an 8. So that we also complete another 4 of a kind there. And so he knows we have a 9 because we just asked for it. So we're gonna give it to. He's gonna ask us for it because he wants it. He's still asking for twos. So 2. He had an 8, 10, and a 7. So we'll ask him for a 7. He asked for the threes, and so he's gonna get a pair there. He can just keep asking Mike because he knows Mike has a lot of cards. And so common strategy is to ask people that you know you have a lot of cards because they have a higher probability of having the card that you're looking for. I do have a jack, and so I give it to her. So we ask Lisa because we know she just asked for the 7, so we're gonna ask her for those 7s because we know she has them. Let's ask Bill for a 5. He gives us 3 5s. So Bill had the 4s, and so he's probably gonna get a 4 of a kind here, I believe. Yeah, exactly. Mike gets another 4 of a kind there. Tell him to go fish. So he drew a 2. That's the same thing as so his turn gets to continue. Obviously there's no cards in the middle, so he's just out of the game right here. If this is the case and there's no cards in the middle, and he tells somebody to go fish, then just turn moves to the next person. That's why I know Bill has the queens because these are the only cards left in the game. And so we won this game because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now 6 4 of a kinds. Right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 4 of a kinds. Lisa has a 1 4 of a kind. Bill has 1, 2, 3 4 of a kinds. Mike has 1, 2, 3, 4 of a kinds. And so we have the most 4 of a kinds, and so we won the game. That's it. It's a pretty simple game. There is some strategy involved, but I hope you guys learned how to properly play Go Fish.